This is a sustainable living panel. And can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Applewood Can, and I'm just a regular person that got really, really upset when I saw what was happening to our planet. I was renting and living in a property that we had a huge lawn surrounding it, had to be watered. And I realized one day that that was not the way to go. And I started a group on Meetup called Greening Up with the Joneses, and which is inviting people to remove their showcase lawns and replace them with edible gardens and native plants. And there's just under 200 people now that are members of that Meetup group. But I also, I had been working at Stanford University for a while, got laid off, worked some more, got laid off. And in between, I started doing direct sales with skincare. And I started learning more and more about all the crap that is going into personal care products. And there was an interview with Peter Coyote, I don't know if any of you remember that, where he was talking about the burden. And anyway, so I discovered about a year ago that there is a man named Ed Brown that has created a film, and it's called Unacceptable Levels. And it's all about industrial chemicals in the environment, everything from cosmetics to cleaning products to the soil to the water to the clothing you're wearing to food. And I've been helping him with that film, and it's ready to go. We just need some funding to hire an attorney. And so if you go to unacceptablelevels.com, you can see the trailer and learn more about the film. Thanks.
Is this on? Okay. I'm Judy Goldhaft, also known as Judy Berg. I work with Planet Drum Foundation. Planet Drum Foundation is the place where the concept of a bioregion originally emerged, and we've been discussing with people what it means to really live in the place that you live, what's entailed, what you might need to understand. For example, which direction is north, when the next full moon will be, when's the last time a fire came through where you live. And we've worked both in rural areas and urban areas. We have right now we're putting together some resources for the Bay Area that will include a database of all the ecologically sustainability-oriented groups in the Bay Area. We have a Green City calendar on our website where when you're bored and have nothing to do, you can find something really exciting to do. I don't think any of you are bored and have nothing to do. Planet Drum has been around for about 40 years. Next year we'll celebrate our 40th anniversary. We also have a project where we were invited to a coastal city in Ecuador that wanted to rebuild after the last El Nino as an eco-city. And we were consultants and continue to have a project down there that's a very exciting project. I invite you to take a look at it on our website. We do a lot of workshops to help people understand where they live, to look at their watershed, to look at the plants and the flora and the fauna of where they live and how they can live there more sustainably. That's what I do. Right now we're doing in San Francisco, we also do walks and tours. We do a tour of the Tenderloin Rooftop Gardens, which includes the Tenderloin National Forest, which if you haven't been to, I encourage you to find it.
Any questions from the audience? What can everyone do every day to make those little steps towards independence from, these cosmetics and toxins, and just and Jenny just live more of a sustainable life. What can we do here in this audience to start next week? Today, sorry.
Okay, so I think we all know the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. I'd like to actually put the 4th R, which is refuse. Just don't buy it. Don't use it. Don't put that makeup on. Don't do it. You don't have to have it all. And sometimes having it all just gets in the way of relationships and being yourself and uses up a lot of your financial resources. So I think that one really quick way is to do an assessment of where you're spending your money and why you're spending your money that way, and where you might channel that in a different direction that might support a local farmer, for example. Right? So just make some different choices.
And I suggest voting with your wallet every day. Start reading ingredient labels. The Environmental Working Group has an incredible website, ewg.org, and they have something that's called the Skin Deep Cosmetic Safety Database, where you can actually plug in the name of the personal care products that you're using and see the ingredients that are not necessarily healthy for you to use or for to go down into the water supply and harm our fish and frogs. So ewg.org and the Skin Deep Cosmetic Safety Database, and there's also a great blog called Wallet Mouth. So it's great. I would suggest those. Just basically start looking at everything that you're consuming and think about whether you really have to have it. And if you do, is there a more sustainable way of attaining it?
I don't typically delve into politics much, but we've got an election coming up, and I have to suggest that it's extremely important for us to somehow get beyond the control by financial institutions and large corporations, the democracy that we hope to enjoy here in this country. And so anything that moves us towards campaign finance reform, I think, is extremely important for us, because if we don't engage in this and somehow get the money out of politics, then all of the choices that you and I as individuals might make will be destroyed by corporate interests. So that's my plug.
We're all supposed to answer every question? I don't think so, but I'll tell you that I hope that everyone will go out of here and really take their eyes and really look hard at what's around you, because there's lots of beauty there. We're in the middle of a redwood forest. What did you find there that you didn't see yesterday? There's a Lou Welsh poem that goes, I'm paraphrasing it because I haven't memorized it. Step out onto the planet, draw a circle 100 feet round. Within that circle are 400 things that nobody knows anything about and nobody's ever seen. How many can you find?
Well, I have a question that I'd like to hear the answers from each one of them, even if it's brief. How hopeful are you?
I'm proactive and I'm hopeful.
On the macro scale, it's pretty bleak. On the micro scale, I feel like I can pull beauty and joy and grace out of the ether anytime I want. And so you have to be able to find that wellspring of joy within you that gives you that hope. And to me, it comes from being in that local, connected place. For me.
That is a tough question for me right now, just because we launched this Indiegogo campaign and we have bloggers all over the country. Hundreds of thousands of people have seen the information about this, and the participation is really negligible. And it just really unnerves me that people don't understand what is going on. It's like their heads are buried in the sand. And I don't know how to reach out to dig out so that people see what is really going on in the world today. I don't know. And so I ask if there's people that understand how to break through the fog, start speaking out so that all of us can learn from it.
Well, I think we do still have a chance. So I have to admit I do have some hope. I think that it's a slim chance, but it's there nonetheless. And I think that we need to, every one of us, take those opportunities to live sustainably. And that means everything that everybody's been speaking about. Just often it's just really small things, recycling things and turning off light switches and that sort of thing. But every step that you take is going to help in aggregate move us towards a sustainable future. But it's going to take everybody to do it.
I just want to add one more thing, Pablo, before you go there. So if we look at that graph I was talking about of that 7 billion, if we have an equally precipitous decline out of peak where we are right now, that's pretty horrifying. That's famine and war, and that's 9 out of 10 people on the planet. That's pretty intense, right? Gone. So what are we doing right now that changes that graphic profile to get to a meander out the other side back into balance? And that's planting trees and saving water and growing food and right. These are the things we're doing right now. So I do an exercise with my students. I call it Once Upon a Peak Time, and I have people imagine that they're sitting around a campfire 400 or 500 years in the future, telling the epic story of peak and how their tribe survived and thrived out of this moment. And people at some point realize that that's them, that they're the ancestors. You've got to go plant those seeds right now. And if you don't, we're going to go right down that path we're headed, right? So this is an actionable moment for all of us.
Great. So I'd like to tee up a question for a couple of you. On the Building with Nature issue, I'd like to hear about any efforts to do large-scale projects like that, $5,000 dwellings to deal with homelessness, or in countries that need better shelters. And the other question related to permaculture. I spent the day in Watsonville being a strawberry picker, living the life, learning about all the injuries, back injuries especially. And I'd like to hear your comments on that, on ergonomic considerations, and whether it's ever at odds with wheelchair accessibility, for example, contention with sidewalk space. So those are for two of the speakers, I guess. Thank you.
Well, I can address the first question to some extent. I know that it's generally accepted that urban environments are the most ecological habitat for humans because of the density, because of the opportunity for living in an environment where you can work and live in the same location, because it often means you don't need to have transportation. You can ride a bicycle to work or to the grocery store. So I think that the direction probably, and one that is actually happening worldwide is that more people are living in cities. So green cities, the sort of thing that Judy is involved in implementing in San Francisco, is really important to bring ecological balance within the cities, and also what Jenny's talking about. So it all has to work together to make a sustainable future.
There is no future in chemical monocropping, period. You can't, it's not sustainable in any way, and it's certainly not resilient. So when I look at the farm workers' realities of what they're subjected to, I feel ashamed. And so how do we change up the farm bill so that those subsidies are supporting organic farmers rather than chemical farmers. I'd like to see organic food doesn't have a label and chemical food is labeled. And I also want to see the patent number for the genetically modified organisms that they're using. I don't want fish genes in my strawberries, thank you very much. They're now showing that the studies of the GMOs and the glyphosates is the results of them up and down the food chain and bioaccumulating into not only microorganisms, but into humans, for example. Cattle ranchers are experiencing 70% abortion rates in their cows that are fed exclusively on GMO crops. It's the same for livestock up and down the chain. It's also true for human populations. Right? So what are we looking at? Even the future of organic food. I was at a conference recently and asked my audience, how many people think that organic food, the way we're doing it now, is sustainable into the future? Nobody raised their hand, right? Because all of our fertility comes from off-site, right? That is not sustainable, period. So when I look at that food equation of going back more and more to being a horticultural people than an agriculture people, perennial crops versus annual crops, or, field crops versus tree crops. That's the direction that we need to move in. And it needs to be scalable so that we can have small scales and be able to scale jump, So when I look at, wheelchair accessibility, that's a design proposition, right? So I just, on my Facebook page, just sent out a wheelchair accessible garden bed where the wheelchair actually tucks right into the garden bed. It's pretty neat. But on street sidewalks, you still are required to keep the street sidewalks where they are. The planting strips are just grass right now, or a few trees. So we're not trying to restrict access in any way. If I was given the design challenge to design a wheelchair accessible garden, that would be really a fun project to work on. So we can look at that in all kinds of ways. But we have to shift up our relationship with food. It's just it's a bottom line for us at this point.
Piggybacking off of the term of, where'd she go? Dream storm. All of you have fought uphill battles, it seems, in a lot of different ways. And I'm just wondering if you could give like 2 sentences on what would it look like in your perfect world? Like if you could, paint your dream storm of what we can do in the next 5 years, what would it look like for you and you and you and you?
For me, it's basically, I just want to see people understanding what's going on and starting to make those choices regarding what they're purchasing. Because if they only start buying organic food, there's no choice. They're going to have to start going organic. I mean, if you go in Safeway now, you'll see there's a lot more organic food now. The prices come down. And if they don't have any choice, if that food is rotting on the shelf, they're going to have to do something about it. It's the same with skincare. It's the same with cleaning products. If people stop buying the Mr. Clean and start making it themselves, they're going to realize we have to dumb down. We have to get simpler. So.
If I were benevolent queen, things would be different around here. No. So I would say that in my perfect world, looking ahead in a 5-year vision, trying to have a dose of reality in there as well, I'd like to see women having equal pay and access to safe abortions and being protected from the violence around us. I would like to see food grown all over our urban, suburban, and rural landscapes in a way that is smart and economical and feeds our bioregion with creative, skilled people. I'd like to see abundance overflowing, and I'd like to see all kinds of cottage industries that support that complex food system with complex social skills. So, and I want to see our kids get out of sitting in rows of desks in schools and being indoctrinated into some useless skills. I mean, the kids come out of school, they don't know how to do anything. I get people who are master's students and PhD students in my classes, and there's this moment in the permaculture course where they're like, there's a fist slamming mad that they've been through that many years of indoctrination and they actually don't know how to do anything. And so I think the educational system is failing us around us, just like our economic system is failing us around us. So my ideal world, we're localizing our currencies, we know our neighbors, we have opportunity, economic opportunity, and we're healthy, and we have access to that. So we have a long way to go.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm a inveterate decentralist. I have been for a really long time, and generally, I think we can do it by neighborhood, and actually would consider that the suburbs might be the battlegrounds. I would like to see the suburbs blooming a little bit more. They could. They have all that space. They have all those lawns. And I won't say anything about Northern California being separated from Southern California, but our whole country is in the process of dividing itself up. We seem to be equally divided into two camps, and maybe we have to push those the farthest we can in their particulars in more decentralized ways.
Well, I live in a community of approximately 1,000 people in the high desert of Colorado, and I'm directly involved in a kind of alternative economy that is based on a time bank concept, where we have been able to get people to join. It's totally free to become a participant, to become a member of the Crestone Baca village. And what we do is we get people to be able to help each other through connecting with each other. There's a central coordinator who you can call. You can connect with people online, and what happens is that if anybody has a need, they can go to the website and find out who of the other members, and we now have about 140 members, which of the other members might be able to assist you with that need. And so for every hour that you help somebody, you get what we call a karma share. You get one karma share for every hour that you help somebody. And then once you've accumulated those shares, you can ask somebody to help you, and then you spend one of those karma shares. And what we've done is we've arranged it so that older people, 55 years or older, for every year over 55, they are given a free karma share. So we have neighbors who are 90, and each one of them was given 35 karma shares. And so it helps give a leg up for elderly people, and helps them perhaps stay in their homes instead of going off to a care facility. So that's one example, I think, of a future that I would like to see. It's a local economy. It's not based on money. It's based on human contact and on the desire to help each other and form a community.
Thank you, Kelly. That pretty much concludes the panel. I want to say